Hi student, I am teacher Aisyah. In this video, I'm going to teach you guys about the chemical properties of acid and alkalis. Before we start the lesson, let's have a look at the lesson outcome that you guys should achieve by the end of this lesson. The first one is, by the end of the lesson, students should be able to summarize the chemical properties of acid by carrying out the reaction between acid and base, acid and reactive metal, and acid and a metal carbonate. The second one is, by the end of this lesson, students should be able to summarize the chemical properties of alkalis by carrying out the reaction between alkalis and acid, alkalis and metal ion, and last but not least, alkali and ammonium salt. Now, have a look at the overview of the theme that we're going to go through in this video. We're going to talk about the chemical reaction of acid and alkali. Let's go through one by one together. Now, we see the acid part first. There are three reactions that show the chemical properties of acid. The first one is when acid react with base, it will produce salt and water. Next, when acid react with the reactive metal, those reaction will produce the salt and hydrogen gas. How we want to identify the gas produced is hydrogen? That we are going to discuss later. Lastly, we have a reaction between acid and metal carbonate. There are examples of metal carbonate such as calcium carbonate and sodium carbonate. When those metal carbonate react with the acid, they will produce a salt, water, and carbon dioxide gas. Next, we move to the chemical properties of alkali. Same goes to acid. Alkali also involve three reactions to show the chemical property. Firstly, we have reaction between alkali and acid. Same as the reaction between acid and base, it will produce salt and water. Next, we have a reaction between alkali and ammonium salt. That reaction will produce salt, water, and ammonia gas. Lastly, we have alkali react with metal ion. It will produce insoluble metal hydroxide and cation from alkali. Now, let's start with the first chemical reaction of acid. To test the chemical reaction, we need to mix the dilute acid with the alkali powder. Let's discuss based on the figure given. As you can see, the first step is to put excess of copper to oxide powder, which is our base, into the beaker that containing dilute sulfuric acid. Next, filter the solution using the gravity funnel to remove any residue. Transfer the filtrate into the evaporating dish. Then, the filtrate later being heated until the solution is 1/3 of the solution. The solution then be let to cool down. After the solution cool, the salt crystal start to appear. This show when acid react with alkali, it will produce the salt crystal and water. Okay, we move to another chemical property of acid. What will happen when acid react with the reactive metal? But before that, let me ask you, what is the reactive metal? Okay, reactive metal is when the metal are easily lose electron when they come in contact with other substance such as water and acid. Let's take a look at a reaction of hydrochloric acid with magnesium. Pour 5 ml of hydrochloric acid into the test tube. Then add a piece of magnesium ribbon into the hydrochloric acid. So student, what can you be observed in the test tube? What happened to the magnesium ribbon? As you can see, the magnesium ribbon dissolves and the colorless gas is released. Let's test the gas with the vernier splinter. A pop sound will produce when the wooden splinter is placed at the mouth of the test tube. This indicates the gas hydrogen. Acid react with the reactive metal will produce salt and hydrogen gas. Next, chemical property of acid is reaction between acid and metal carbonate. As I already mentioned earlier in this video, the example of metal carbonate that we can use to react with the acid is calcium carbonate and sodium carbonate. Let's find out what is going to happen when the acid react with metal carbonate. Place several pieces of calcium carbonate into the test tube, then add 5 ml of hydrochloric acid into the test tube. A colorless gas is released. The gas was tested to a lime water and it turned the lime water to cloudy. This indicates the carbon dioxide gas is present. So students, when the acid reacts with the calcium carbonate, the reaction produces a salt, water and carbon dioxide gas. We have done discussing the chemical property of acid. Let's move to the second part, which is the chemical properties of alkalis. So, the first reaction is between alkali and the acid. The reaction is same with the chemical property of acid. It will produce the salt and the water. However, let me discuss again the reaction, but this time under the topic of chemical properties of alkalis. The test tube is filled with the hydrochloric acid half full. Then add some sodium hydroxide in the test tube. Still until it dissolves, then transfer into the evaporating dish. Heat the solution in the evaporating dish. Stop the heating when the solution is about 1/3 of the initial volume. Cool the solution. When the solution is cool, a crystal salt is produced. This shows that when the alkali react with the acid, it will produce the salt and water. Students, are you still with me? It's okay if you want to have a break. You can pause the video and have a break, then continue watching the video when you are done. Okay, now we continue with the reaction between alkali and the ammonium salt. Pour the ammonium sulfate in the test tube. Add some sodium hydroxide solution and heat the solution. Look, a gas is released. Student, did you know what gas is that? The gas is alkaline. Place the moist red litmus paper at the mouth of the test tube. The litmus paper then turn into the blue. When alkali react with the ammonium salt, it will produce ammonium gas, water and salt. Last but not least, our last reaction of chemical property of alkali. What will happen when alkali react with the metal ion? Based on the figure, fill the test tube with the copper 2 sulfate solution. Then, drop a few drops of sodium hydroxide into the test tube. A blue precipitate will produce. When alkali react with the metal ion, the reaction will produce the insoluble metal hydroxide, which is the blue precipitate that we talked earlier, and a cation from the alkali. Now, we already done with discussing chemical property of acid and alkali. Before we end the lesson, let's have a recap. What have we learned today? So today, we learned about chemical property of acid and alkali. Both have 3 types of reaction. To identify the acid chemical properties, we can do an experiment involve reaction between acid and base that will produce salt and water. Then, we have a reaction between acid and reactive metal. This reaction produces salt and hydrogen gas. Lastly, is reaction between acid and metal carbonate that will result in producing salt, water and carbon dioxide gas. Now, we move to alkali. When alkali react with the acid, it produces salt and water. When alkali react with ammonium salt, a salt, water and ammonium gas are produced. Lastly, the reaction between alkali and metal ion will produce an insoluble metal hydroxide and cation from alkali. Okay students, let's stop for now. Thank you for watching and listening to my video. Hopefully, this video will help and give you a clear understanding about the chemical property of acid and alkali, and also give you a view on how you want to do the experiment.